Let's go. All right. Got to start this up on everything. Oh, over here. Perfect. Let's turn this up to look better. Worse. Better. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. Let's go to the event here so I can see it. I think we'll take the. Oh, yeah, it will. Let's see what we can do. How's everybody doing today? Looks like we got a few people here already. It's already off on the sound. Perfect. Yeah. Actually, that looks way different on there. Does this look better? I'm trying to make myself look as good as I can. Waiting for this to load my comments. I actually can't see comments yet. Should have had this load up first. Touch my face a few times to get ready. I'm so tired. Okay. I guess comments just aren't loading. I remember any dreams the past 3 days. I was doing so good. Oh, yeah. I need to see this on the other thing. Sorry, just getting everything set up for now. I'm going to be revealing a new technique. It's not like other techniques that you guys have seen. I think it's going to be something you can do as much as you want, at any time you want, and it will affect the long term more than the short term. So take that or leave it. Stop dish. Yes, perfect. Enter studio. I'm gonna see if you haven't remembered any dreams the past 3 days. 2 to 4 dreams till night until recent. So this is pretty common at the beginning stages. Hopefully you're still in the beginning stages. Shouldn't be common later on. But recall and things like that are always going to go up and down. The more consistent you are, the more consistent it is. And consistency isn't 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's 4 weeks. It's 10 weeks. It's 2 years, right? Because the more consistent you are, the less consistent, or the more consistent you will be. Mr. Beast about to give lucid dream advice. Somebody was telling me the other day that I look more like Mr. Beast's brother. So, Eris says, I'm trying to lucid dream, but it never works. So, this technique, so today we're going to be talking about, everything's starting right now. I need to put that in here just so I know what time to start. Today we're going to be talking about the smile technique. Now, the smile technique, I'm going to go ahead and write this here so people can see it. Add a banner, write it down, is Sensei's mnemonic induced, and sorry, I gotta write that again. So mnemonic induced lucid experiences or experience. Dang it. I wrote it in the wrong place. It's going to take a minute because I'm slow, apparently. We'll just type in smile technique because it's just taking too long. Smile technique, and bam. Look at there. Smile. Everybody. So, let's see. It looks like we have 5 people here right now. Many techniques in the past year, but with Skyfall Miles past 3 weeks, I've been getting better. That's good to hear. 3 weeks is not very long. So, like I know you said a year, but 3 weeks with a good technique isn't very long. And if it's getting better, I mean, that's the goal. Isn't to, be the best immediately. Techniques aren't like a one and done, right? Techniques, you get better with them as you practice with them, right? If you're learning any sort of skill, I can learn. I talked about juggling last time, so if I can learn juggling, and I can just learn the general cascade, and that's a technique for juggling. But somebody that's amazing at juggling is going to be better at a simple technique like that, the cascade, than me, because they have better skills. They have the better memories in there. They have all of these things that go through their brain that are just much more advanced, and they've grouped together many more ideas than I have whenever I'm juggling. Now, I can juggle, but it's just barely, like it's like it's smoother than that, but barely. Like I toss in a few tricks now and then, and I almost lose it. Sup, Hookif. All right, so the smile technique. I'm a little nervous about sharing this because it is, I don't want to say complicated, but it's simple, and it's I don't know. It's one of those things that you're not going to do this technique and get a lucid dream tonight. You might, but I'm going to have to break down the, let's move it there. A little over. There we go. A little over. So I talked last week about this right here. And I told you guys that I think that as long as you're sleeping, everybody has a chance to lucid dream, right? So what this technique is doing, and I told you if you do something like mild, it'll increase the chances, right? Have really good dream recall, increase the chances. But what smile is looking to do is this right here. Changing the size of this thing and making it bigger. So I'm going to talk about it. Kind of black marker. I know. I stopped at the Dollar Tree today to pick up the black marker. I was pretty excited about that. It looks way better on the stream too. So I'm wanting to increase this right here. And so I went through, and I am I'm a homeschool teacher. I don't know if I told you guys that, or teacher, whatever you want to call it. I run everything I do through with my wife, so that I'm not teaching my kid a bunch of stupid things. I can actually teach him all the things he needs for school. But one of the things that's really interesting is people use mnemonic devices all the time, right? We talk about mnemonic with lucid dreaming for one technique, and that's the mild technique. But we're going to talk about it in regards to how to study. I know you guys love talking about studying. But this I think will be hopefully much more helpful than a lot of techniques. I think this is something that everyone does to some extent, especially people that succeed in lucid dreaming. But they don't think of it like this, so they don't do it actively. So I'm going to talk a bit about how memory works, because mnemonic is a tool that you use to remember something better. So I'm going to use a mnemonic to help me remember my dreams better, or a mnemonic to help me remember inside of a dream that I'm dreaming, because this is a technique to get lucid. This isn't something that is a simple, I do this once and I will get lucid. This is something that you are actually going to have to take the ideas of it, because it's more of an idea technique than it is a do step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you'll get lucid. But I'll try to break it down into easy to manage steps. So most techniques, I would say, they're mnemonic, but they're cramming, right? Your goal is to cram for the test, right? So you wake up. So let's say you have a test, and the test starts. This is your sleep schedule, right? Right there is your wake back to bed. Boop, 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 boop. And you cram in a mild right there. Because you want the memory, right? Because it's a mnemonic. Now, this is something I think a lot of people miss, is if it's a mnemonic, what two things is it trying to connect? What two things is a mnemonic trying to bring together? Now, in my mind, these two things are simple. You have dreams and the idea that you are dreaming. Whew. It's not easy to write on these. It's getting further away from me too and harder to write. So you're trying to bring together these two ideas. You're trying to connect them. So you wake up at a time where you're probably going to remember a dream right here. Boop. And then you do a mild and you say, haha, get these ideas together. This idea of I'm dreaming and connecting it together with the dream. You try to connect those two together and you cram for the test because the test is right here. You need to do good on the test. You need to remember whenever you're in a dream, whenever you see the question is the dream itself. The question is this, the dream that's happening around you, and you need to know the answer being that you're dreaming. So this is how I see it. And this is one of the reasons why I say don't study only right before the test. Now, that's a great time to study if you've already studied, right? You're not going to learn everything you need to know right before a test, though. So I always tell people, hey, spend 20 minutes before bed doing mild. And they're like, how do you spend 20 minutes before bed doing mild? How is that possible? It's a long time. I always thought it was a normal amount of time. It didn't seem weird to me. Remember, it was brought to you again by not bubbly, because I'm not, I'm not a real YouTuber. But this stuff is good. If you are doing bubbly and you don't like them that much, I'd check out the blackberry. Super good. Okay. I mean, it's not the same as soda. Okay? I'm sorry. What's up, Sprox? I don't know who you are. I don't recognize the name. But welcome. So, we're studying for this test. Oh, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask at any time. I tried to take the lag down, but I think I missed it. So it'll probably take about 30 to 40 seconds for a question to get to me. So this is studying for the test. This is cramming for the test. Or if you're somebody that has been, studying, it's just brushing up right before the test. Yeah, the cherry bubbly is not great. I wouldn't recommend the cherry one. But again, it's something you kind of got to remember. You're like, if you drink or have like just sugar and everything all the time, then all bubbly is going to taste really bad. But if you don't have sugar that much, which right now I'm on a diet, trying to slim down a bit, then it's going to taste better. All right, so what does this look like? What does studying for the test look like? Now remember, I already told you what's on the test, right? You have a dream, and you want to have the idea that I'm dreaming in it. So what does the test look like? The test, or not the test, what does studying look like? Now I would say your studying should include two things. One, dreams. Easy. Now this is one of the reasons why I've always been so confused when people ask why. Yeah, you made it this time, Sealed Orion. This is one of the reasons why I find it super interesting that people always say, why do I need to remember dreams? And I'm like, the whole thing is about dreams. Like, dreams are super important. They're literally what we're getting better at. And if you don't know what's going to be on the test, knowing the answer is not going to make it easier, because you can't just know the answer and hope that, you recognize the question. That's a weird thing, right? If I gave you the answer, 42, you're going to be like, aha, 67. Like, no, 6 times 7. And I'd say, actually, the question is, what is the meaning of life? And so those two questions look extremely different. And so if you don't know the question, you're not going to find the answer at the right time. Let's see if I can fix this. So what I do, the smile technique, can be done at any time for as long as you want and for as little as you want, is really simple. So the idea for mild usually says to go through your dreams, right? And realize in them that you're dreaming. Like, imagine your dreams and then realize inside the dream that you're dreaming. And I'd say it's a good start. But it often says, like, you wake up in the middle of the night, you go through your dreams, you realize you're dreaming. Before you go to bed, you go through your dreams the night before and you realize you were dreaming. And they'll do it like once, right? So instead of doing it once in the middle of the night, or going through every previous dream before bed, then I recommend doing it 100 times, 1,000 times. And this sounds crazy to most people to practice it over and over. But what we're really trying to do is we're trying to connect these two ideas so that they're just one idea. Just one idea. So that whenever you think of your dream, the idea of dream pops up. This idea immediately connects to it, right? And so the way to do this in my mind, and this is how I do it with anything that I remember, is I will, whenever I see a point where those two are connected, right? Now it's super easy if you have a lucid dream, right? If you have had a lucid dream, every technique is easier whenever you've had some lucid dreams. The reason every technique is easier is because you know this feeling. You know, well, not every time. Not every technique is based on this, but you know the feeling whenever the idea, oh, I'm dreaming, and a dream happen at the same time. There's a feeling, or it's not so much a feeling as it is a mental function that happens. And whenever that function happens, your mind gets better and better at that mental function happening, right? So these two things are no longer two ideas, but they're just one idea that happen together. If I tell you, what is this? Most people are going to say that's A, or it's a letter, or, you know, they have a bunch of different ideas of what could pop up. Hey, Arrow, if you're going to be grunting and angry, you're going to need to go upstairs, okay? You need to calm down. So why did that idea pop up? Why did the sound A pop up in your mind? The reason it popped up in your mind is because you've mnemonically connected those two ideas. So they're not just one idea. The A and the sound, either, you know, A or, you know, ah, depending. Those are connected. They are one idea, depending on where you see it. But for the most part, those are one idea. Now, this is just 3 lines, right? I could rearrange those 3 lines, and now it means something completely different, right? Or, I mean, heck, I can even whoop, 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 right? That's H, that's 3, right? So whenever those are completely connected, then whenever one thing pops up, and in this idea, the thing that's going to pop up is a dream, when they're completely connected, and those two things pop up at the same exact time, you're going to just get lucid. You're going to get, boop, dream pops up, and you're like, hey, this is a dream. I know this because I have connected the idea of what my dreams are like and knowing that I'm dreaming. Now, how do I do this? And how do I do it 1,000 times whenever everyone else is only doing it once or twice? And this is because I take out, remember, I told you guys about the 80-20 principle before, right? I think everybody on the internet probably has heard the 80-20% principle, but they say, you know, that 20% of the work produces 80% of the results. And I mean, most of the time, whenever we're working at being efficient, we don't want to be perfect with lucid dreaming. We want to be efficient, because if we're not efficient, we're going to struggle. So what I do is I go through my dreams the night before, the day before, any dreams, right? I used to just lay down and I would go through all the dreams that I could possibly remember, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dreams, right? And every dream, I would try to find 1 or 2 or 3 moments that I should have realized that I was dreaming, right? And I imagine in my mind getting lucid in those moments, right? Or I go through my mind at moments that I have gotten lucid. So there's 2 ways to do this. 2 ways. First is non-lucid. 1, 2, or 3 moments from a dream. You pick, okay, you know, I saw that chicken crossing the road and it was just a little too much. I really should have thought, like, I've never seen a chicken cross the road in my entire life. This is a dream, right? You think that and you connect with that idea, that moment, chicken crossing road. Chicken crossing, and of course, what are you connecting it to? I'm dreaming. Now, I'm dreaming is my mantra. It's what I connect all of the thoughts connected to dreaming to, right? Now, it may not be exactly what mantra means, but I only have 1 of them. Yeah, stick with this one. This is it. And so I run this and I connect those 2 because I'm like, oh, those actually feel good when I connect them. I say, oh, I could have gotten lucid there had I just, you know, had those ideas connected a little bit more. And this works very well with dream signs if you see dream signs in your dream. But I recommend doing this with every dream. So I connect those, and instead of going through the whole dream and then stopping at the point where the chicken's crossing, doing it then and then the rest of the dream, and then doing that over and over and over again, right? So who knows how long that would take? Like, what if the dream's 20 minutes long? So then it takes me, probably 3 to 5 minutes. Let's just say 3 minutes, and I get 2 of them done. Or I just focus on that one moment right there. There's one moment. How long does it take to focus on one moment? A second, right? And I focus on the moment, and I focus on it, and I focus on it, and I focus on it over and over. I replay it over and over in my mind. So those 2 ideas are connected, right? Now, whenever I do that, these ideas, instead of being one idea, it's at the end of it, it should just be 2 ideas completely connected. That's the goal, is to get those 2 ideas connected. Now, it's really, really easy to do if you have had a lucid dream, because what is that moment? That moment is just the moment that you got lucid. So that's the second way to do this. Once you've gotten lucid. So lucid. So, you had a dream. There was a moment right here where you got lucid. And so then, when you wake up the next morning, you think about it. Is it good to practice criticality, dream recall before I try some techniques? Can you define criticality? And then I will answer the question. So right here, boom. You imagine that moment. Now, you don't just imagine that one moment. You rewind it, it's probably a second, right? Rewind it, play, rewind it, play, rewind it, play, so that those ideas are stuck together. That's how I do it anytime I'm trying to remember something. Instead of trying to remember it once and just be like stick in my mind, I try to replay through the thought process that connected it. And when I replay through the thought process that connected it, it becomes a common thought process in my mind. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be like, the most perfect thing in the world where all of a sudden you're getting 4 lucid dreams a night, but you should be seeing more increases over a long period of time. And this is how I do mild as well throughout the night, but this can be done at any time throughout the day. So it's quite a bit different. It doesn't matter if you do it when you wake up, doesn't matter if you do it before bed, doesn't matter if you do it 4 hours after waking or in the middle of the night. Now, depending on the time, I would say it's going to depend. It's going to work better short term if you do it close to dreams or in wake back to beds. But long term, it's probably not going to make much of a difference when you do it, as long as you are connecting the 2 ideas. And the goal is to connect it long term, but you obviously want to toss in some short term goals as well. So that's the technique. And let's actually try it with one thing. Super easy. Now, there's 2 very common ways that I've seen people do this. And I think it may be super important to look at these, because these are the ways that naturals. Oh no, I said the bad word. I'm not supposed to talk about how naturals get lucid. How do naturals get lucid? One way, very common, very, very common, is nightmares, right? Now, a nightmare has a very specific thing on it, right? You're generally very afraid, anxious, and what's the other thing? Oh, they're usually very vivid. They're very memorable. What are they? Usually very present. There's one last one. Oh yeah, powerless. You feel like you're very powerless. Usually, these are just normal feelings for a nightmare, right? Does everybody know the feeling of a nightmare? I feel like nobody's commenting today, and I don't know if it's just because I have the thing to where it doesn't comment very quickly, and nobody wants to comment whenever it's going to take 40 seconds to comment. So I'm going to take a drink real fast, because last time I took the drink, it took me like 30 seconds of holding this thing to drink. When I say nightmare, it will bring up this feeling inside your head, in your mind, right? So what people do is they have this idea, a nightmare, right? They know what a nightmare is. They say, this is a nightmare. They don't say this is a dream. They say it's a nightmare. And someone says, hey, next time you're in a nightmare, or they'll think, next time I'm in there, hey, Skyfall, it's commenting. Thank you, Skyfall, for commenting. General Kenobi. All right, so they know this feeling. It's a feeling. They'll have it 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 50 times. And the more times they have it, the more they know the feeling, right? So you have a nightmare. As soon as that feeling hits, the next time, someone will either tell them, hey, next time you're in a nightmare, just wake yourself up. Or next time you're in a nightmare, just notice that it's a dream, right? And this happens a lot with naturals. And so they connect this feeling, a previous idea of a dream, and the idea that I'm dreaming, or the idea that I should wake up. When I was a kid, that was the idea that my mom told me, is realize that, or not realize that you're dreaming. She basically said, next time you're in a nightmare, wake yourself up. So I just woke myself up. I didn't get lucid. I just thought I can wake up and I can get away from this. So I woke up. It happened 2 or 3 times, and then I didn't have any nightmares for 15 years. So they have this, and for most people, I would say it's either one or most or all of these are going to feel this thing. It's going to be an intense feeling. My hair is just going nuts today. Anyways, it's going to be an intense feeling, and you can imagine that feeling whenever you're thinking back on a nightmare. You're like, oh, yeah. And so you self-reflect on it. You say, oh, okay, next time this happens, right? You go through a dream, and you say, the next time this thing happens, I'm going to realize, you're inserting it, boop, that I'm dreaming. This is how naturals often do it, right? So they have a very instant, important, you have a very instant, important feeling that you're like, I want to connect these two feelings. And whenever you're scared and you're going to sleep, you're like, I have a nightmare. And you're like, okay, well, I'll just realize I'm dreaming. And they'll do it exactly like we do mild, if they're really worried about it. And then oftentimes people become naturals during this type of thing. Now, you may not have this problem. You may have this problem where you say, well, all of my dreams are random nonsense, or all of my dreams are like they don't have anything in common, or they're exactly like waking life. And I'd say you probably don't have enough dreams to judge that. Most people, they say all of my dreams are like this, and they've had like 100 dreams. After you've had 1,000 dreams, a couple thousand dreams, you'll start seeing more and more and more patterns, and you'll understand what your mind is like. So like I said, this is not a lucid dream tonight technique. This is a lucid dreaming for the long haul. I want to get more and more in touch and into my dreams. Dream recall is going to be a big part of this. Sorry for those people that don't like dream recall. Sprox, you never answered my question. You asked me a question. You never answered. All right. So is the sound okay? I just realized that I'm accidentally picking up sound with 2 things. That was an accident. It should be sound with just 1 thing. Let me see. I'll wait a second. All right. So for some people, though, a lot of people that start lucid dreaming, they start getting false awakenings, right? False awakening. I need to be a little bit more beginner friendly. Oh my, upside down A. Oh my gosh, typing side or writing side. Sorry, we call them FAs. False awakening. Inside a dream, you wake up, and you're still dreaming, but you think that you're awake, or you can realize you're dreaming as well. So this, I think, is one of the easiest ways to connect this idea, right? I always tell people, reality check every single time you wake up, forever. It's just something you should do. As much as I don't recommend people doing reality checks a billion times a day, even though it can help if you do them all day, every day, all sorts of things like that can help. It's generally very burning and draining on energy, but if you have unlimited energy, go for it. But false awakening, you should be using a reality check every time you wake up. Now, this means that you get to practice it every single day, and you should be able to run it through your brain. And so you're not running a dream scenario through your brain. You can run both through your brain. If you've ever had a false awakening, you can say, oh yeah, I had this dream. There was a moment inside the dream, boop, that I woke up. I should have reality checked. I should have checked to see if I was awake or asleep. So you run that through your mind and say, oh, right there, boom, and I should have done it, I should have done it, I should have done it. But not only then, every day, whoop, dream ends. You wake up. You didn't reality check. You can run that moment. You can say, that moment right there, I should have I should have reality checked right then. And you can run it through your brain just over and over. Next time. And you can do it 100 times, 1,000 times. You can do it probably 100 times every minute. You can think that. And just sit down for 10 minutes and you've done it 1,000 times in your head. You've connected those two ideas and they should stay connected for the most part. Now they might fall apart over time. You might need to reconnect them. And remember, I said this is like studying for a test instead of trying to cram for a test. We got a question, maybe something like that. I do a reality check about 10 times a day, but I do them how they were truly intended and actually questioning instead of just autopiloting the check. That's good. It's good to hear. I'm guessing you mean like truly intended. It's probably similar to sporadic awareness technique. Highly recommend it. I would recommend reading up on that if you haven't. It's going to sound a little bit like that, but it might have some insights for you. I'm not saying you need to change what you're doing, but what I'm saying is it's always good to read what other people do similar to you and try to decide if their technique's better, your technique's better, which one's going to work for you more. I'm very thirsty today. So, I've only had one false awakening, but I was so mad that it interrupted a lucid. It didn't interrupt a lucid. It's just something that happened during a lucid. Gamer Bath, you're going to have to rewind to see the smile technique. I think for the most part, I'm done explaining it for now. It's not step by step, so it's kind of hard to explain. And you can do this with anything. A lot of people have school dreams. A lot of people have, what are you going to say? What type of dreams? I have dreams. Some people have cinematic dreams, right? Their dreams are cinematic. They have a feeling that they're not in control. Imagine slowing down. Imagine gathering your awareness right there and just like, I'm stuck. I'm not going to be cinematic anymore. I'm going to slow down and just imagine it over and over and over and over again until whenever you see something cinematic or you deal with something like that in your waking life, your first thought is slow down, gather your awareness, realize you're dreaming. I thought the game, it was at 2:30. That's so weird. I don't know why. Like, the thing said to start at 2, so I don't know why you guys thought it was 2:30. Oh, sorry, Quid. So, does anybody have any questions? It doesn't have to be about the smile technique. We can just switch to a normal Q&A. I know whenever I join in streams late, I will just rewind it all the way and then go double. Right there, fight or flight response reality checks. Right, exactly. Whenever you feel that fight or flight response, that's something you can revisit in your head. Very good point. It's still weird to me that you post on here as Chimpertainment, DJ. Let's see. All of my lucids have been false awakenings. Like 70% of my normal dreams take place in my school. Right, so that's perfect. This technique should work perfect for you. If you know what your dreams are like, this technique works even more and more for you than it should. Also plan on attending today. I'm gonna bring this up so I'm not looking down so far. Ugh, my legs hurt. Also plan on attending today, as Tuesday afternoons are just a bad time in general. Middle of the school workday typically. I know it's not great, but the reason I can do it is because it's the middle of the school workday. Because my wife's working, my kids are busy, one of them's sleeping. That's you and your PFP. Ooh. You look like a good silhouette, DJ. So, let's see. Yeah, I cannot think of a short way to explain this. I pretty much spent 30 minutes explaining the technique, and it's not really a technique, but I still like it. I think it's very important for long-term benefits, so you might want to check it out later. I'm sorry, I don't want to really explain it right now. We still got 30 minutes left for today. Yeah. Does anybody have any? Oh, there we go. One thing I don't get is what is the difference between smile and a normal mild? Now, this, in my mind, is a more specific way to do mild, right? You're using a mnemonic. Now, the original mild, written by LaBerge, says that you're supposed to wake up in the middle of the night, use the previous dream, run it through in your head, imagine that you got lucid in it, and then go back to sleep. That is LaBerge's mild, right? Skyfall mild, Naya mild, you do it before bed, You spend some time thinking about your previous dreams. You imagine getting lucid in them. Now, this is different in my mind because it's not just saying run through your previous dreams, right? It is saying, good job, Arrow Man. So it's not just saying this is like one small way. It is a very specific way of running through your previous dreams, connecting to that one moment and replaying in your head. Instead of running it through it once or twice, you're running it through it hundreds of times. You're doing the most effective part of the mild over and over and over again, and you do it anytime. And it should change your dreams over a longer period of time. It's like I said, instead of thinking of it like cramming for a test that's about to happen, you're studying for a test that's going to happen in the future. You can do it any time of day. You can do it any time of night. And yeah, that's my thought process on it. It is similar to mild, obviously, because it's a mnemonic. But it should, hopefully, if you, instead of connecting one dream to the idea of dreaming, right? You have one dream right here, and you wake up and you connect that dream to the idea of dreaming. You're wanting to connect every dream, the general pattern of your dreams. You're wanting to connect those and make it to where it's no longer like, I mean, I could tell you right now, right here, this is a Japanese symbol for 3, if I recall. I could be completely wrong because I'm super tired. Now, you're probably going to remember that for 2-3 days or something like that, right? But in 4 days or 5 days, if someone said write down the Japanese thing for 3, you'd be like, I don't know, it looked like 3 lines, right? Maybe. Or you'd forget completely. And then, if you get it even more, complicated, let's see this. You can toss in some more extra complicated things, and you're not going to know what they are. I could toss in a bunch of different kanji or hiragana, things like that, and you won't know what they are. Even if I explain them right now, you would know them short term. So maybe short term, you would know when you went back to a dream that you were dreaming. But I'm hoping this is more of a long-term thing, because I feel like this is something that's helped me. I noticed whenever I was younger, obviously when I was younger, everything in my life has happened when I was younger, that there was a certain thought process where my mind would start to make excuses for everything that happened around me inside a dream. I would be like, oh no, why is there no milk? There should be milk here. And I'd be like, oh yeah, we drank all the milk yesterday. I'd be like, and I'd be kind of confused, but I'd be like, I would accept a really simple explanation. So what I did was I used that thought process. I said, okay, that little feeling of explaining away something that happened, I'm going to get rid of that. Whenever I feel that feeling, I'm going to realize it's a dream. So every time that feeling happens, I now realize it's a dream. And it's not something that I do consistently. I'm not sitting around trying to think, when that feeling happens, I'm going to realize it's a dream. I'm not doing that anymore. I did it, and it's done. Those ideas are connected. Anytime that feeling happens inside my dreams, I realize it's a dream now. It's not a technique I do. It's a technique I did. So that's how it's supposed to be different. Can there be a mental conflict or confusion when you are trying to connect, say, seeing your family in dreams to lucidity, but not doing reality checks in waking life when you see your family? I would say yes, but I would find something about you're seeing your family in dreams, that specifically triggers it, right? I would find something like they're all there together, or one of them's always missing, or they look a little different than they usually do, or they're more talkative or less talkative, something like that, and try to connect it. Generally, there's going to be something to differentiate between waking life and dream life, or you can try to always connect that idea, but you can have the conflicting ideas there. One is, like, if you see your family only once a night in dreams, but you see your family all day, every day, and you try to connect those ideas, then that idea will start feeling useless and it won't be connected anymore because it's not something that you're using. If you don't use an idea, the idea that you're dreaming, it's not going to work. So you probably, if you're going to want to use something like that, I would recommend using it all the time or not at all. Around more like the struggle will be to remember to do your reality check when you see your family in waking life. Yeah, and like you could use it as a way to get even better, because then every time you see your family, you're like, oh, well, I see my family, so I'm going to try to, every single time I see them, to remember to reality check. And then whenever you miss it, then you go back and you say, okay, I saw my family and I didn't reality check. So right there, I should have. Right there, I should have. And you run it through your mind over and over so that the next time you see your family, you'll remember to reality check. I recommend using a motionless reality check for that. Try to fly, something like that. One of my intentions, every night associate the oddness in any way to lucid dreaming. Right. I don't know why everybody joined late. Did I have the time set up wrong? I could have sworn I set the time up right. Let me check. Event details. It says it starts at 1, ends at 2. That's weird. Weird. So, yeah. I will be hopefully posting a shorter version of this. If I can figure out a short way to say this. It's hard in my mind because, like I said, it's different than mild, but it sounds a lot like mild, and it uses mnemonics like mild, and it can be done during mild. So it's one of those things that it's a very niche technique, I would say, that hopefully will get you more lucids over time versus getting you more lucids tonight. Sorry you joined late, Froggo. Yeah, make sure you guys set up notifications. I'm going to be 1 o'clock, well, not 1 o'clock, but 40 minutes ago for wherever you're at, every Tuesday. That's my plan, unless something crazy happens. Yeah, Omnilus just says it's just happening now. When it was scheduled, not when it was scheduled. Yeah, it's usually it gives it an hour exactly though, and I don't remember changing the time on that. I wouldn't have changed it to where it was only 30 minutes. Joined 15 minutes early. Yeah, you're overachiever 5 Puff. Do I just call you Puff? Yeah. Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to just talk about with as far as Sensei Secrets is going and everything like that? I haven't been doing as many shorts, at least recently. Just been lazy about that. Or I don't know, lazy. I've been very busy. I've had time to do it, but I haven't done it. And it might be that I'm just overworked, and it actually isn't possible for me to do it. Or it could just be being lazy. Don't know. It's always hard for me to tell. But I will start doing more than just one a week on the shorts. And my video, again, I'm also trying to edit that, and I have just not done it. I've been up most every night with the kid recently. He's asleep right now. He sleeps this time of day every day, but does not sleep every night. So it's life. But yeah, technique is pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's interesting. I think it'll give people a better idea of how to do mild correctly, even if it's just a way to do mild correctly. I think that it's more informative than just go back through your dream and imagine getting lucid. I think it gives you a better idea of something to focus on, so people can actually do the steps and understand what they're connecting, understand the goal of mild. Yeah, if we don't have any questions, I might just end this here early. I'll just wait a little bit. I don't usually have nothing to say. I guess I must be pretty dang tired. Oh, I got these as a gift from Christmas for my 3-year-old, but they are super complicated to put together. And so I'm going to have to do it all on my own. It's way past Christmas already, but I really need to do that. What's your experience with dream incubation? Okay, well, that's something I can definitely talk about for a bit. So it was pretty similar to, it's a weird thing. It's basically whenever I was younger, I tried to do dream incubation a few different ways. I tried it with just trying to choose what I dream about, but nothing seemed to work. And then I just had this crazy idea that dreams don't seem to be based on what we're doing, but it's more about what we think about, like what we focus on. And I said to myself, like, if I convince myself that if I convince myself that I could use the Force or telekinesis or anything like that in waking life, or if I just thought that thought, then it should be able to go into a dream and just I should be able to use telekinesis in a dream. And I did not lucid dream at this time. I was 15, 16. So I started just stopping throughout the day randomly, and I connected the idea. I said, I can use the Force. And so I said, I got this. I can use the Force, and I can move objects with my mind. So I gave myself a reason for being able to do it, and I imagined doing it. And it took about 2 or 3 months, and I started moving objects with my mind inside of dreams. And again, not a lucid dreamer at that time. Didn't get lucid or anything like that, but I had a bunch of dreams where I would just move. In my mind, it made sense to me that I could move objects with my mind. So then I went through and I learned how to use fireballs, Rasengan, Melshi's door, stuff like that in dreams for a few years there. I practiced all sorts of things. I started putting in dragons. I started putting in all sorts of just fun things to toss in. I learned a few different ways with dream incubation. Another thing was I found out that, like, whenever I played too much video games, like Guitar Hero, for instance, I would see Guitar Hero still scrolling down. So I said, and then I fell asleep and I would have a dream about Guitar Hero. So what I would do, and that's called the Tetris effect for those looking for it. So what I would do is I would spend some time close to bed, and I would try to force my visualization to repeat itself. And I imagined that if I could get the thing that's going through my mind, or that's circling through my mind often, to be there around the time that I'm going to sleep, that I would dream about it. So I would do that, and I would dream about it. Made it pretty simple and easy, but that one was more of a one-day thing. The telekinesis and the fire, Rasengan, and things like that, those stuck around. They were things that I did, and then whenever they were in my dreams, they stuck in my dreams forever. In non-lucid dreams, I still use telekinesis and fire and stuff like that without realizing it's dream. That idea is not connected to dreaming. I mean, it is now, but it wasn't before. It was for years, like 5 or 6 years, without ever being lucid in a dream with fire or telekinesis. So that's my dream incubation. And right now I use dream incubation for getting lucid. It's very similar. I just connect the idea that I'm dreaming with the dreams that I'm going to have. And then I can kind of feel what ideas I think are going to make it into dreams, and I change those into being about knowing I'm dreaming. And I have dreams. I know I'm dreaming it. So, I mean, it took years and years of experience, but I think dream incubation is really worth it. I think that mnemonic is a type of dream. Mnemonic induces type of dream experience as well. Dream incubation experience. Yeah, I think it's all pretty good stuff. I highly recommend some dream incubation for those looking. It's not. I'd say it takes about the same time as lucid dreaming, so don't expect it to be this like super easy thing, unless of course you use the Tetris effect. Tetris effect makes everything easy. You just play a video game for 6 hours before you go to bed, and then when you fall asleep, you should dream about it. So that's dream incubation, if that's what you're wanting to do. Well, I wasn't trying to hurt people. No, I was just moving objects around. Like right now, even it kind of still throws me off every once in a while I'm awake. I'll try to use telekinesis, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do that. Like it's not I don't have that actual ability here. It feels weird to not be able to use it. I can use it all the time during the night, and I've been able to use it for years. So doing telekinesis in waking life is not about belief, or else I would have done it accidentally by now. Yep. All right. I think I'm gonna end the stream. Usually I've got like way more things to talk about. I'm like a lot of people asking questions, but maybe I'm just too tired today. Thank you guys for joining, and I hope the technique makes sense. It makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense how it's not technically the other people's milds. It is its own thing, even if it's very similar. Like I said, it's not a technique to get a lucid dream tonight. It's a technique to become a lucid dreamer. to change your mind over a long period of time. Currently lucid in every single dream. Yeah. I am currently, like, I know I'm dreaming in every single dream. I'm not fully lucid in all of them, but yeah, for the most part, I am quite lucid in all of my dreams. Always know it's a dream. I always act accordingly. I don't always slow down and actually take note of the fact, but most dreams I do, like at least 3 a night. I slow down and actually take note that it's a dream. I will see you guys later. Thank you for coming.